media, all it takes nowadays to spark up an online fight is to merely have an opinion. One opinion will cause many to spiral into a pit hole of anger where no one dialogues, only insults the person who has the unpopular or even the popular opinion regarding the latest trends in comic books, movies, or pulp culture. It makes sense given the circumstance. After all, acting tough behind the protective wall of the black mirror we all own and use on a daily basis makes it easy for anyone to jump right into a tirade of insults and threats. Again, just for having an opinion that they may disagree with. I decided to go against that notion. I've decided to start a video series where we discuss the hot topic issues within the comic book industry and pulp culture and provide you with another perspective. One of logic, reason, with just plain old dialogue between two people who have different opinions. My co-host and I will discuss the pulp culture topics at hand in a fun, engaging, and respectable manner. So, without further ado, let's talk about it.
It was an ordinary night during an ordinary jog when Matt Guerra stepped into his destiny. Using his Jeet Kune Do, Matt teaches would-be violators that the cost of crime is too high for them to afford. But little does Matt know, his act of bravery has run afoul of Los Valientes, Orange County's most notorious street gang. The head of Los Valientes, the mysterious Dreamer, decides to make an example out of Matt. And amidst a brutal game of tit for tat, where anyone could get caught in the crossfire, Matt Guerra must bring an end to Los Valientes' wave of crime before his loved ones pay the ultimate price for his heroism. Matt Guerra is the Ghetto Dragon.
All right, I love that commercial. Hello, everyone. Welcome to an edition of Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, Julius Freeman, and with me is the ever caring cool
Kyle.
I hope
Let's
everyone's
go
had a good
longer
week.
than I think you're going to, and then
Well,
I
I try to come up with new introductions, but I always try to improv, and I got to practice on my improv. It's been a while. I got to shake off the rust. Hello, Edwin. Glad you could join us. Hail. Freddie, live in 20 minutes. Okay, don't move. I want to get some grub. Well, it's 10 minutes, so you got 10 minutes to come back and join us for this conversation. Oli from 656. Yo, what's up, Oli? ¿Qué onda, cabrón? Glad you could be here. It's going to be a good topic, a good conversation. Almost a controversial conversation. But before we go ahead and dive into that, Kyle, how was your week? What did you pick up? Did you find anything cool and new for you to add to your comic book collection?
Well, let's see. Week's been pretty good. Except there wasn't really a whole lot new stuff that I got this week. I only got a few things. Because I'm still recovering from all the stuff I bought at WonderCon.
Oh, right.
Right. Didn't splurge a lot this week. I got a few things. So obviously, I'm a huge Miracle Man fan now, and I found out that the Miracle Man, apparently Marvel did a whole bunch of variant covers of him with all the different Marvel characters. And I'm like, when I saw it, I'm like, okay, I have to have them. And so I went to my local comic book shop and I found a couple. I found more, but like I said, I didn't buy them all because I'm still recovering from it. So
right.
I got a few. I got the first one, which was him with Captain America.
Oh, very nice. Hold on. There we go. Look at that. Look at that beaut.
Yeah. So, that's cool. Him with Ghost Rider.
Oh, nice. Nice. Is that a Brian Hitch cover right there? It looks like a Brian Hitch.
Is it doesn't say.
Okay. It just looks like Brian. It looks like Brian Hitch's pencil.
It might be.
Style.
And then the one that I feel like makes the most sense for if Miracle Man did cross over into the Marvel world is a Doctor Strange
Nice.
version
Yeah.
where he's flying through portals and he comes across Miracle Man. So this one's my favorite one that I found. But
Very good. Very
I got
good.
those. And then I got this awesome Spider-Man
Of
one,
course, the classic
Todd
gold
McFarlane
foil cover. Look at that.
gold foil to go perfectly with my black silver one and my normal one.
Nice, dude. Look at you, man. Becoming the collector. Look at that.
I know. Now I just need the polybag version
Ah,
one.
yes. Hopefully you can find. I mean, they printed so many of those. I'm sure you can
I
find them.
know.
I'm sure you can find them anywhere, you know. So, but that's great, man, that you have them in your collection. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. And then also by Todd McFarland, I got Spawn #1.
Híjole, look at that. Blast from the past. You know, that was the first comic book that I ever seen in my life in person.
Really?
My cousin brought it over one day, and I remember I was blown away by the cover and the colors, and I was like, "What is this? What is this thing?" And
Yeah.
my cousin was like, "Oh, it's called a comic book," and I was like, "What's a comic book?"
It's a comic.
And then he opened it up and he showed me, and I was like, "Wow, this is really cool," you know. And since then, you know, well, not since then, but that was the seed of like, I need to know what this is. I want to know what this is. Where do I get this? And of course, he didn't know. He was like, I don't know. A friend of mine let me borrow it, and I'm just using it to kind of study the artwork in the book. And he's like, I
I
have
didn't
no
know
idea.
that was the #1 that you got. I thought it was just a random.
No, dude,
Spawn
it was
book.
#1. It was issue
It was-
1, and I remember he specifically told me, "Oh, be careful with it. Just don't open it too too wildly." So so I'm pretty sure his friend told him like, "Oh, please be careful with it. You know, it's a first issue, and you know,
Yeah.
don't rip it or anything or damage it." But yeah, after that, that's when it was like the beginning of my
Open the
comic book journey.
floodgates.
Yeah, for sure. So that's great that you picked that up, Tom McFarlane. I mean, talk about a trailblazer. Talk about someone who, you know, made his left his mark in the mainstream with Marvel, and I think he did a few Batman stuff, Batman Year 2, I think it was.
Yes, I think.
Yeah,
I think
and
he only did Batman.
I don't know if he
He
did the
only did one
covers, or I don't know
Batman
if he
cover.
did. I don't know if he did interiors. I just know he did a few Batman pinups or covers, I believe.
He did one Batman cover.
Oh, okay, it was just one.
Yeah,
Okay.
only one. That's the one that has like the huge cape
Yeah.
and everything like that
Yes.
that everybody makes the statues of.
Yes.
Because and the
I
references
mean, why
too.
not? Why not? Right? Why not?
I mean,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's
I mean,
and a great innovator. What were you saying?
doing, reference into wrestling and stuff like that. I've heard him on interviews and stuff like that, being called like the McMahon of comic books.
I agree with that sentiment. Yeah. He definitely was the driving force to convince the rest of the artists who eventually founded Image Comics to jump ship. And he led the way, man. He went into those offices and says, "Here's what we're gonna do. Nothing you could do about it. Sayonara. Good luck." And then he went to, I guess, I don't know how. According to the lore, right, of the other founders, they did that at Marvel, and then they went to DC, and DC thought that they were going to get the biggest get of all time because all these, Rob Liefeld, Tom McFarlane,
Right.
Mark Silvestri, and Jim Valentino, Eric Larson, Will Spotarcio, like they went to the DC offices, and so all the DC editors and executives were like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be great. We're gonna make so much money." And I guess Tom McFarlane was like, "No, we just came to tell you that we're not gonna go with you either. We're gonna do our own thing. Bye." They took off. And yeah, I agree with that sentiment. He definitely was the driving force to keep Image alive, and it's still alive to this very day. And
Yes.
you gotta give credit where credit is due. Without those guys, trailblazing for the indie scene, essentially, because they went full independent. You know, they took a big risk by going full
Yes.
independent and not depending on the system already established by the direct market that was, you know, not funded, but sustained by Marvel and DC comic books.
Well, and the fact too that they were all the top artists in
Yes. Yes.
Marvel at the time. I mean, Rob Liefeld, you know, and you had Jim Lee, who just finished doing X-Men and
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
did those, and it's like they sold like millions of copies.
Yeah. Huge
And
numbers, big numbers. I mean, you can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with that.
and then Todd McFarlane managed to get all of them. And then like later on, you get like
Yeah.
people like Robert Kirkman, and now you see
Yeah.
his stuff everywhere.
Now his Skybound is one of the biggest imprints, or its own, rightfully so, its own company now, and they're just growing and growing, man. I mean, it's been.
I think they're still under Image though.
No, they are. It's a partnership.
Yeah.
He was invited in to become a partner for Image. So now he's an actual member of the collective officially. So yeah, good on them, man. Indie comics is where it's at now, you know, and but there's some downsides to that. You know, when you go indie. And part of that is not only distribution, you know, you have to put up the cost for distribution, you have to, you know, put in the money to get your books in previews, especially back then. Now they have now everyone has a few options to do that, but there's that. And then there's the creation of IP, intellectual property.
Right.
And that begs the question:
copyrights and stuff.
Copyrights, who owns the intellectual property? Is it a partnership? Is it not a partnership? You know, that kind of deal. And that always causes a lot of rifts between creators. And
I'd say that's like 90%.
Yeah, and it's not no one is immune to it, right? Everyone at some point will have to come to that bridge. I myself have come to that bridge as a independent writer myself. And that's what leads to our today's topic, right? Today's topic is who gets the credit, who gets the glory? Is it the artists or the writers when they come together and you produce a comic book? And the reason why I wanted to talk about this today was because of a tweet or an X post. Yeah, that I saw from this individual here, who's a member of the original indie or the Image Comics revolution, and that's Mr. Rob Liefeld.
Oh, okay.
And so he posted this on April 13th. He said, "I mention artists, especially artists, writers, more prominently because this is a visual medium and the art matters the most. Just try pulling off that Swamp Thing run without Bissett and Totalman, or Watchmen without Dave Gibbons." This caused much ire in mainly writers, right? Writers who took offense to this. And you know, just for full disclosure, like I don't disagree with this. I agree with this. You know, it is a visual medium. I should say I agree with this for the most part, not entirely, but in terms of him saying it's a visual medium, he's absolutely 100% right on that.
But he also chose two of the main Alan Moore runs that he's the most famous for.
Yeah. He chose Alan Moore specifically because Alan Moore did write, even though he is right to a certain extent that without Bissett or Totalman doing that run on Swamp Thing with Alan Moore, or Dave Gibbons with Watchmen, the fact that he still wrote those scripts speaks volumes. That's the fact that the story, if it wasn't for Alan Moore, the stories wouldn't be as memorable. You know, the art would have still been great because Bissett and Totalman were in the top of their game, were absolutely untouchable. And that includes Dave Gibbons. But the story is what sustains the tide of time, right? That's the foundation of what keeps people coming back for more, is the story. Freddie says, I disagree. Well, I mean, hey, again, you know, it's for me personally, It's a case by case basis. Now,
And
Kyle,
I think there was also echoed the same with Todd McFarlane in an interview I watched with him, and he did mention that that was his own biased opinion, but
yeah.
he said that he is much more able to uh, sell a book that is uh, drawn or something like that by uh, like the most famous artists ever, but written by a dog, more than he would be able to sell a Shakespeare book drawn by a dog.
I will say, again, for me, and I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure you can agree with this too, Kyle. The art is the reason why we pick up books to begin with.
True.
If the cover hooks you, you pick up the book and then you kind of skim through the interior pages, and if you see the interior pages kind of like, hey, this is pretty consistently good, then you're gonna take the chance. You're gonna be like, all right, I'll take the shot. And then that's when you go home. Either there used to be a thing called parking lot books. I think that's the term. I'm not sure if that's the right term or not. It was when you bought the books and you went to your car and you started reading the book and you got so hooked that you stayed in your car and read the whole thing in your car. I think that's what you call it.
Is that comic books or like novel books?
No, comic books.
Oh, comic books.
Comic books. You would buy your comics at the shop, and then you would go into your car, and then you would just kind of skim through it because, hey, I mean, it's a comic book, right? That's what we love to get. And if you start reading it, and you find yourself still in your car after you finish reading it, that was indicative to the owner, the comic shop owner, that they got a good book in their hands, and now they're going to have potentially a hit book where now they're going to come back they're going to order they're going to pick up the rest of the issues, the rest of the run, and then back. Yeah, and they keep coming back, and not only do they keep coming back, they spread the word out saying you need to pick up this book. You can't miss out.
Are they coming back because of the art, or because after they read it, then they realize the story?
That's the combination. That's when that's the marriage. That's the marriage of the two. Is when the reader gets the whole picture. And Freddie Ness says, even though the art was great, if the writer chose a different artist, the book would still be made. It doesn't work the other way. No, that's true. But I have dropped books because the art wasn't the same.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I can't speak for anyone else but myself. But I have I did stop, reading runs because the art wasn't the same in the first 6-7 issues of the run. They changed artists midway, and then it kind of like it doesn't have the same aesthetic feeling that I liked about the original artist.
It's a double-edged sword. I mean, it could go both ways. It kind of depends, I guess, on your taste of what the artist is, because currently I'm reading the Conan books right now that's being out, and they had artist, I think it was Delatour, I think. Let me see. It was Delatour, who was doing the art for it, and then they switched to another artist about like you said, about 6 issues in.
Mm-hmm.
And then that switch was very jarring to me because I thought that they had like switched storylines, and it was like a whole new storyline.
Right.
So it got me a little confused. But then once I realized, oh no, wait, it's still the same story. It's still going along. Then I'm like, okay, this is fine. But then they switched back. So now Delatour is going back again as the artist.
I see. So yeah, that sounds like it was probably a break. Like the Delatour needed a break. And so they found a fill-in artist to fill in, the issue he wasn't going to draw. And then once he was done with his break, then he went back to drawing. That's my guess as to what happened there.
But it's still jarring for me as the reader. Like, I mean, like the writing is still fine because
of course,
the story
of course,
is still
that still remains. Yeah, it's just a matter of how the artist interprets it and delivers it based on what they read in the script. Oliver says, I dropped books because they changed artists, The Walking Dead, Stormwatch, Team Achilles, etc. Yeah, and I think, again, everyone's different. Some people don't mind it, and that's fine. That's okay. I personally do mind it because it takes it away. It takes away the experience of it for me. That's why I like full runs, because then I get the whole thing that both writer and artist get to put on paper, or in this instance, in today's time, digital screens, because everything's on Photoshop nowadays.
Yeah.
Freddie says chat only did the chat only. Sorry.
Nice. Just showing everything. But I mean, like, do you think that there are no benefits for an artist to when they do change, that it becomes the better?
Yeah, sometimes that happens too, where the art just steps up and unfortunately does outshine the original artist. That's happened before. Yeah. And that's that's for the better. That's what you want, right? It's like that old saying, right? If you're gonna cheat on your significant other, you cheat up, you don't cheat down. By cheating up, that means it better be worth it. Like the other individual that you're willing to risk your relationship for better look like a top 10 model or something, right? You know what I'm saying? So I guess in a lot of ways.
So you always want to trade up, is what you're saying?
You always want to trade up. So if you're gonna have a fill-in artist, or you're gonna replace an artist, you always want to replace them with someone who's a little bit more skilled, a little bit more, seasoned, right? And like just a better worker, or a better artist. I mean, I hate using that word better, but sometimes, yeah, that happens like that, where you do meet, you do kind of see like, oh, this artist is good, but there's a lot to be desired for with this art. And then you find, another artist comes in to play, and it just absolutely like blows it out of the water, because for whatever reason they just click, or they have a better style, or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of factors with that.
Now, with this Rob Liefeld tweet with Bissett, was Bissett still drawing Swamp Thing before Alan Moore came on?
No.
I think him and Alan Moore came on at the same time.
I think so. I'm not entirely sure on that, to be honest with you. I don't know exactly if they were both on. Chat, if you guys know, let me know, because I really don't know off the top of my head if Bissett or Total Ben came right at the same time Alan Moore came in, or they came in a few issues after.
The way
I know for the Swamp Thing run, there was an artist called Alfredo Alcala, I think his name was. And I think he was a fill-in artist, or I think he was the artist who started with Alan Moore, and then I guess he became like a fill-in artist in the case Bissett or Total Ben weren't available. But yeah, when Bissett and Total Ben came into the scene and drew the issues that Alan Moore wrote, the book just moved up a level. Like, not a level, it was like 10 levels up.
Yeah. The only reason why I bring it up is because most people, when they refer to it, they always say Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, or usually they always, or Frank Miller's Batman or Daredevil,
right? Yeah,
they always preference it by that. They don't say, "Oh, Bissett and Toblin's run on Swamp Thing."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't do that. No, because again, what is the most memorable thing for any classic comic book that's available in the market even to this day? It's the story. People remember what happened, not the art. I mean, the art's part of it. Don't get me wrong. Art is a huge part of it. But it's the combination of what the artist directs the art. What the writer directs the artist to draw based on the script they might write. For instance, V for Vendetta, one of my favorite books, if not my favorite.
Also Alan Moore.
There is a scene where Evie has her arc, right? And she's completely naked. Her body is completely famished because V tortured her. V gave her the experience of what it was like to be a victim of an oppressive government. Okay, so she was dehumanized. I mean, absolutely just broken down. And then when he got her to realize that she was actually free, that she can move on and not be a victim for the rest of her life, that she can actually do something with her life and gain power from her I guess despondency. It was a combination of David Lloyd's art of how he drew the moment combined with what Alan Moore, I'm pretty sure directed David Lloyd to draw.
Right.
And that was the moment that's when the emotional strings got pulled, right? Got played with when you got to that moment in the story. Because that's important. If you don't have that, if you don't hit your notes, your dramatic notes, you may not get the effect that you're looking for when the reader gets the chance to read it.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Alan Moore is still revered to this day, even though he's not really liked by a lot of people nowadays because of his pompous attitude, and rightfully so. I mean, it makes no difference to me.
You can't deny what he did to comics, though.
No, you can't. You can't. And what Alan Moore did was that he added that layer of like emotion where you can actually feel something when you read his scenes, especially if it's something that he wants you to feel: anger, disgust, love, whatever the case.
Yeah.
So it depends, right? It depends on who's involved and how they write it and how they deliver it. Because Alan Moore's not the only one who's done that. There's a lot of writers who've done that. Frank Miller's really good at that. Peter David was the good one. Kurt Busiek, even Mark Waid, when he was at his peak, was able to get that, capture that, and he was able to write that to the artist. But we're talking about corporate-owned comic books, with the exception of V for Vendetta, because that was Alan Moore's and David Lloyd's book. That was not a DC or Vertigo commissioned book. They inherited that book from because that book, V for Vendetta, was originally published in Warrior magazine as a black and white comic, and so they inherited that book.
With Miracle Man, I think, was in
Warrior. Miracle Man's the same way. So Marvel now it boils down to who gets the IP right, who gets the credit, right? Writer or artist. And some people on Twitter, did respond to my I should say X, to my X post about this topic, because it is a touchy subject. There's a lot of artists and a lot of writers who
are biased.
They're biased, right? They say no, the writers, no, the artists, and then others say no, both, because it's a partnership and so on and so forth. And those are all valid points. I'm not saying those are invalid. Those are all valid points, and I get that. I totally understand that. But again, like I said earlier, it depends on the situation. Now, Kyle, what do you think about all this stuff? Like, do you even care about that when you read a comic book? Is that even something you even like consider, or you don't care at the moment?
Okay, well, so obviously, I do probably go out and look for the artists first, because that's what I see on the actual shelf.
Yeah, fair. That's fair.
And so if I see something that looks really cool, I'll definitely go and I open it up and I'll look at it and see if it does catch my eye. That was pretty much at the beginning. Now that I sort of understand some of the creators and I know some names and stuff now, when I do see a name pop up that I do know, like a writer, I'll go out and specifically get the book just because I like that writer and I know that they're going to do a good story.
There you
go. That's what I'm looking for mainly, is good stories with the art that complements it.
Right. Exactly. That's what I think. That's what most comic book readers look for. When as you get older and you start reading more and more comics and you start to recognize, tropes, you start recognizing aesthetic, you start recognizing all that stuff, and you start to realize, okay, I like this kind of stuff, and I'm going to pick up this kind of thing.
Right.
Because a lot of times, that either can succeed or fail. But I think for the most part, comic book readers prefer great art if they want to take a chance at a new book that they may not have heard of, or they're unsure of. And if the art pops, I'm guilty of that. If the art pops for me, I pick up the book and I take the shot. But if the story doesn't hit, then I don't come back for the next issue.
Right. That's
Even
the
if the
thing.
artwork is great, it's that Tom McFarlane quote, right? It's one of those things where you have to kind of be careful as to what you spend your money on and what you decide to consume as a reader.
And that also happens with writers too, where it's like, I know this writer and he should have had a good, story
Yeah,
here.
but
But then I read it and I'm like, this is awful.
Yeah.
And you're the same person who wrote this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that happens too. But down to the nitty-gritty, my responses here. One person here in my X post said, this debate is exactly why I do everything. So there's no debate and I get all the credit, even if I'm not the best artist. Hey, one wasn't the best artist, and look where One Punch Man is today. And he's right. It's one of the most popular anime or manga books that have ever come out. And apparently the artwork wasn't the greatest, but the story was so good and so solid that people flocked to it. A depressed superhero. I mean, what more can you ask for, right? Someone who's sad that he beats everyone with one punch. That's like, I mean, how perfect can you get with that?
And
his kryptonite.
You make a compelling character out of that.
Yeah, exactly. His kryptonite is the fact that he could kill everyone with one punch. So he doesn't get the glory of the fight. That's what he's looking for, the glory of the fight, and he never gets it. And therefore, that makes him depressed, which is a fascinating a take on the old trope of superheroes. And I responded with, I wish I had the time to learn how to draw so that I can do the same. Because of course, right? And but unfortunately, I need to outsource that to artists and hope it works out on my end. And that's the trade-off when someone like myself, who's been writing and producing comic books for 15 plus years now, I've come across these questions: who owns what the artist should get, what should I give the artist, that kind of thing. It's what us indie writers and creators and producers need to look upon and actually pay close attention to, if we want to have a long career and find success in this industry. And I'll keep on going. One person said both, and of course I said it depends. And then one other person said both. Of course, they are a team and both bring different talents to the production, which is also valid. That's also a valid point. But when I say it depends, there's the. I guess let me elaborate on this then. And I'm going to use my own personal examples because I can't speak for anyone else but myself. And then we could go on and use examples of like Bill Finger and other creators. Oh, but Kyle, did you have a question? It sounded like you wanted to ask me something.
I was going to say that going along with this discussion, it could also work the same with production of movies or TV shows and stuff. It's like you can have a movie that looks great, but the story and the dialogue and stuff in it is total, poop,
totally. By the way, thank you for staying PG and saying poop.
Yeah, I don't do that like you do. I am a good person.
You're not a sailor, Kyle.
No.
But you're absolutely right. That's a very valid point again. Where things hit or they miss. And so that's why you always have to, hone your craft, get better, take constructive criticism. Don't be afraid to fail. Freddie says, I was about to say that, Kyle. Who gets the credit, the director, writer, or actor? Good question here. A movie is different because a movie, you're dealing with motion. That's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with motion. So when you write a screenplay, because I've been involved in a few film productions, not big ones, small ones, like college, student films. And I was also
or something like that.
Huh?
You weren't working for Paramount or MGM or something?
I did as an extra.
Oh, okay.
So I got to be in the back lot of a lot of these studios and got to see firsthand like what it takes to put a production together. And there's a lot of moving parts. You have the screenwriter who writes the screenplay and they have a table read, with the actors, and when they read things out loud, some things just don't sound right to the actors. So they make suggestions. And then the director says, yeah, that sounds good. And then when they block the scene, if it's a thorough production, when they block a scene and the actors are rehearsing and the director is trying to find his shot, a lot of the times the certain movements that the screenplay requests of them may not work. So they change it. And so a script is never a fully like, I mean, unless you're
always
not poor,
evolving.
it's always involving. So what movie? Well, that way we can give you all the credit. I would consider like certain directors to be complete auteurs, and that one of them will be Stanley Kubrick. Another one will be Orson Welles. Men who had the vision, and they get the crew to do it for them. And every filmmaker is different, Freddie. You know, some filmmakers like to work with the crew, like to work with the actors. And there are some directors who say, no, this is what I want. This is what I need from you. And the actor is like, okay, you're the director. You direct me. And again,
is that like Christopher Nolan or something like that?
I think Christopher Nolan works with the actors. So he meets with them. He talks to them about their character, what they're going to do. And then he kind of lets the actor, okay, oh, I get it. I understand. And then he lets them have their fun with it. And then he just reminds them, I just need you to stay here, do this, and then you're good. Everything else you can do. But again, Freddie, case by case. So let's break it down real quick. So you have who gets the credit, right? The writer, artist, or both. Now, I'll use one example. I'll use two examples. One is the Ghetto Dragon. The other one is Vigilant Fury.
Okay. It's very personable, I guess.
Yeah, of course. Of course. You know, again, 15 plus years out of pocket production, meaning I saved my money. I worked my ass off. I sacrificed leisure activities. I sacrificed buying comic books monthly so I could save money and and have a budget and be able to hire an artist to draw the story that's been brewing in here. And then also writing it out. So Ghetto Dragon. Okay. Ghetto Dragon. Ghetto Dragon. Ghetto Dragon took me about 10 years to develop because
long time.
It was because it went through a lot of iterations. There's multiple stories that I was happy with, but then in the end, it's like, oh, wait a minute, that's too similar to this movie or this thing I read or this thing I saw. So I would change it. I would change it until it became completely mine, where no one else did it or has done it yet. So there's that.
Okay.
Also, I'm not the greatest artist, but I am competent enough to be able to draw the basic things, meaning like arms, legs, faces, the clothing. I may not be the best, but it's enough. It's enough to be able to give a visual image to the artist I hire to draw the book, so that way you can be like, oh, I got it, and then they go on with it. So, Ghetto Dragon, I developed the plot. I wrote all the dialogue. I wrote all the character descriptions, meaning I said he's 6'1", he's 204 pounds. He was born here. He was born at this hospital at this date at this time. He is in the storyline. He is 20. He's in his 20s. He's built this way. His hair is this color. His skin color is this color. So on and so forth.
Yeah.
And wrote an entire encyclopedia, 3 to 5 pages of nothing but character descriptions of, and also backstories as who they were, who they are. So when I hired the artist to draw Ghetto Dragon behind me, or book one, the artist had no wiggle room to play around because he had a full-on blueprint. And when he steered away, because the first artist kind of steered away from what I gave him, he drew Matt big and at one point in the beginning, like the size of Reacher of the Prime show. And I told him, no. Yeah, I was like, no. He needs to be thin. He needs to be lean, like Bruce Lee, not Arnold Schwarzenegger or Superman. He needs to look like Bruce Lee, but obviously his own body type. And so I gave him references to keep it where I wanted. So essentially, he was a work for hire.
Right.
A work for hire.
He didn't have any creative process in it.
He didn't have any creative process in. So now the question is asked, right? Does he deserve IP percentage rights? And in my opinion, the answer is no.
At
No.
all? He
At
didn't
all.
deserve anything at all.
No, it's at my discretion. It's purely at my discretion because he didn't change any. He kept everything that I wrote intact because I told him to. And then on top of that, I paid him his full page rate. He didn't give me a discount. It was, here's my rate. And I said, I agree. And I paid him in full. So he got his full money for his pages. And so, again,
Did you even go into the minutia of, okay, I want his left foot kicking him?
No. That's when I would talk to him and I say, what kind of script do you want me to write you? And in this case, book one, since he was fairly new, he requested a full-on script, meaning you tell me what to draw. And I'll do it the best of my ability. So, okay, fine. So I, panel one, wide shot, bird's eye view. Matt is and then go on and on with detail and exactly what they're doing per panel. So again, it's no, he doesn't deserve a piece of the IP unless I voluntarily offer it to him if I want to. It's in my discretion, and it goes both ways. Right? If an artist developed everything, he designed the characters, he drew the settings of the world. Because again, I forgot to mention, the setting were all based on pictures that I took in the alleyways of my old neighborhood. I actually took my bike one day, took a day off, and I went to every alleyway in my old, grounds where I grew up at, and I took picture, building, houses, everything. And I told them, draw this in the background of every panel. So I went thorough, man. I went all in on it. So he had no how does this look like? How does that look like? No, he had it all. I gave him a whole package. And
he just had to draw it.
So
would you say basically if you were to feed that into an AI machine, that's what he would be doing?
No, because the AI machine is going to get things wrong. At least with a human being, he could show me something and I could be like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. And he could change it. He or she can change it. It may not be quick, but it's better than dealing with do this, change that, typing it in and then generating it until it gets to the right point. But
I guess.
But going back, to explain the reverse part, if the artist developed everything, designed everything, but he doesn't have a plot. He has the characters, he has a scenario in his head, but he has no plot. He doesn't really know how to write dialogue, doesn't know how to put a story together, right? So he hires a writer and he tells the writer, here's all I have. Here's a loose plot of what I need. I just need you to get from point A to point B. Does the writer deserve credit? Does the writer deserve an IP percentage of that? You know what I say? You know what I say?
No.
No, he doesn't. He or she doesn't.
I feel like they should at least get something.
Why?
Because they're still doing the work. I mean, they're still
but they're getting paid their full. I'll pay you your full fee for your script.
I guess, yes, that is true.
It's at the discretion of.
But they still the artist that did Ghetto Dragon, he still made, obviously you gave him okay, he has to have brown hair and he has to look like this and the build and stuff like that. But did you get into the minutia of okay, now he needs to have a Roman style nose and stuff like that? The artist still came up with the different way of a look of what Matt looks like to an extent.
Yeah. But every artist since then has kept them the same.
Okay.
Oh, here you go. Freddie says, yeah, if they got paid, it's a no-go. 1 point, Julius. Thank you, Freddie. Thank you. Discordia Comic Shop. Hey, welcome. You're new here, so thank you for joining us. Lucid is correct. Hired guns don't get franchise rights. Exactly. Hired guns. There you go. That's a good. I like that. Hired guns. Because you have it all developed. So
I guess
it's a two-way street, right? It depends on
in this situation, yes.
in
But
this
if any other
situation,
situation,
yeah, in this situation, no go. If you developed everything and you hire someone to help you draw it, and you give them no creative freedom or no creative wiggle room, then they're a work for hire. And especially if you pay them their full page rate. Because you always ask that question when you hire someone, what's your page rate? And if they tell you, oh, it's I don't know, $35 a page, done, you're hired. I'll pay that. That's it. You're gonna get paid for your work. Hey, Tom, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, boys, coming by, say hello and give my thumbs up. Still bird in diapers in newborn time zones. Hope all is well. Yeah, thank you. Hey, bro, I feel you, man. I'm in the same boat. But thankfully, she's a little older, so I'm able to do this consistently every Friday night. But thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully, you catch the replay and leave a comment and maybe we could discuss more about this. Okay, so we got that situated, right?
Yes, in this very obviously it's like very one-sided in the creation of it, but
Yes.
most comic books aren't that way.
No, they're not. But you'd be surprised how much they are actually. They may not be. I mean, we don't know because we're not in the room when they cut deals, right?
Right.
Between writer and artist for Marvel, DC, or even Image books and Dark Horse.
I mean, that's the whole discussion and why everything that happened, the fallout between Stan Lee and Steve Ditko.
And Jack Kirby and Stan Lee.
And Jack Kirby and yeah.
And Bill Finger and Bill Kane, the creator of Batman. It's one of those things, man. Like it becomes complicated after a while. Discordia says it's called on model to stick with the character sheets, but even if an artist had room to get off model, that would not magically grant anyone more rights to IP. I agree, Discordia, 100% right there. Thank you for that. On model, I like that. I didn't know that was the proper term for it, but that's pretty much what I did for Ghetto Dragon. It was on model and no wiggle room. Even when they try, like the first artist tried to give him a different hairstyle, and I was like, no, it needs to be like this. It needs to go to the side, down to the side, and then he changed it. But now that's for the writer side. That's for the one-sided thing, right? That's right. I think you can agree, and hopefully the chat will agree that that's a scenario where, like, yeah, okay, yeah, no IP rights unless the IP holder grants them to you, which is fine too. There's nothing wrong with that either. Sure, if they're gracious enough, hey, why not take it? So now let's do the other factor. Let's look at Vigilant Fury. Okay, Vigilant Fury. I wrote the story. I developed it. I knew who Angela Perez is. I wrote her background. I did all that stuff, but I didn't write the other stuff. I didn't develop the other things, meaning the interior of the ship, where the setting takes place in the story, or how she really looked like, other than that she was tiny. That's long hair. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And the bad guys, I had an idea of their names, but nothing in terms of what they look like or how they look like. So, but the script and everything was done. So when Anthony Gambino came on to help me produce this book, I asked him, how do you want me to write the script? And he told me very loose. I want to have a lot of wiggle room to do what I want in terms of like panels and camera shots and what have you. And Gambino went above and beyond. He designed the bad guys. He gave them each their own unique characteristic. He gave Angela her look, her face, her body, her clothing, because I had no idea how she was going to dress either.
Right.
Other than me giving him a blueprint of the vessel that the story was going to take place in terms of where she was going to go, where the story was going to go and where she was going to go through, but that's it. I didn't have any designs of the interior, how the ship was gonna look. All I told him was, "Go crazy, you handle it." And so, does he deserve a piece of the IP rights?
I say, yeah, definitely for that.
Yes, you're 100% right. He does,
Now,
because
in this scenario,
he put in the weight and the effort to design something without me directing him.
though, you said that he came up with the way. Now, did he come up with the villains or like themselves, or did he come up with uh like just the way that they looked?
Just the way they looked,
So
because
like say that Gambino wants to go and take the villain and make a
Mhm.
whole separate comic book explaining his backstory. Would he have to give you royalties or anything on that character?
Yes, yes, yes. But see, here's another thing too, and I'm gonna peel the veil a bit back, but I'm not gonna give details. He gave me a page rate discount to own the IP right, a piece of the IP rights.
Mm,
That was the deal. And
okay.
so with that in tow, now I was like, okay, go ahead, to a certain extent, obviously, because I still own the majority share of that. But at the end of the day, the agreement is okay, but the book stops with me. If I don't like it, then we're gonna have to either compromise, or you're gonna have to stick with what I want to stay with in terms of the story. But for the most part, Gambino, he like he not requested, he offered options, which is a writer's dream. If you guys are a writer out there, if you're indie comic book writer or just a comic book writer, that's the kind of artist you want to work with. Someone who offers, suggestions, and and
On
because
what, page rates and stuff like that,
no,
or
no, no,
like
no, no,
suggestions with
panel
panels?
sequences. Yeah, panel
Okay.
sequences. So they read the script and they go like, "How about this?" And in my experience, 90% of the time they're right, and it's better because
Yeah.
they're artists, right? They think visually, and I think visually when I write my scripts. Because full disclosure, before I write my script, I lay out panels. I have a sketchbook that I use where I just lay out these panels, these chicken drawings panels.
You're not just like you're not like George Lucas, where in his script he just writes they fight and then and then continues on.
No, I'm well, again, it depends on, like, for instance, Ghetto Dragon. I'm gonna be very, very close to the fight scenes. Like, I work closely with the artist to make sure the fight scenes are hit their notes that I want to hit. Vision and Fury, the same thing. I was a little bit like, no, we gotta make sure the action scenes are this way for the context of the story. And again, Gambino was fantastic. He went above and beyond. He pretty much, I mean, talk about a writer's dream to work with an artist like that, willing and ready to flex his creative process and not be afraid to share it. And so yeah, that was right off the bat. Here's the deal. You take it. You want to take it. If not, hey, it's all good. Thank you. And then I'm gonna move on and then find someone else. And it was fine. He took the deal because he liked the story. And that's another factor too. You want to find artists who are excited to draw your story.
Mhm.
Now for both. Now let's do both. Right, writer, artist. That kind of falls into. I mean, Vision of Fury falls for both, but
Right.
I guess for a true both, like true equal writer and artist,
50-50.
50-50. Never. A side note: never do 50-50, guys. Never,
Always do.
ever do 50-50. Always do 51-49, because the buck has to stop somewhere.
Yeah.
Take it from me. from experience. You don't want 50-50. You want 51-49. Always
Because
go
nobody can agree.
51-49. Because no one can agree, exactly. But if you have the majority, you can at least say, no, we're not gonna do that. Let's stick with what I originally wrote, or vice versa. You can hear out the artist, and you can be like, you know what, okay, that's cool. I'm fine with that. Let's see. What if an artist said, "I love Vigilant Fury. Can we re-release it with my art?" And you see their art and it's amazing, so you say yes. Does Gambino get a cut? Yeah, because he owns a piece of the IP. That would technically fall into that, Freddie, for sure. And on top of that, también, I mean, come on, that's kind of insulting, don't you think? Like you're insulting the original artist.
He's all,
But-
yeah, this is better.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, if Gambino is like for the sake of what if he's okay with it and he says, yeah, let's go for it, then yeah, he's gonna get a piece of that for sure because he owns a piece of the IP. And you know, that's also a dice play too. You know, having a piece of the IP because you're hoping the IP does really well and it becomes the next Walking Dead or the next Ninja Turtles, right? That's the hope.
Yeah,
But
you'd
that's
hope
not
so.
that's not a guarantee. So
But
it's
they
a,
could
it's
also
a roll of the dice.
fall sour on, everybody can not get along later down the line, and then they try to challenge them
Yeah,
using their IP rights as leverage.
right. No, yeah. That's why you always whoever owns the IP, never ever do equal 50-50 and always own the majority share. That's my advice to all the aspiring writers who don't draw, who can't draw, who rely like me on hiring artists to draw your books, your stories. Always do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. You're just protecting yourself, you're protecting your creation. And that goes for both artist and writer. You know, so if an artist has an IP that they want to put out there and they hire a writer, yeah, you should tell them right off the bat, this is what I'm offering you. If you want it, cool. If you don't want it, you know, thank you for your time. Good luck to you. I'm gonna look elsewhere. No shame in that. No wrong. At the end of the day, it's still a business, right? IP rights, copyright, trademark, those are one of the greatest gifts of America, of the United States of America. That you could create something and copyright it and it's yours. You own it. And
For
you
10
can do
years
what
at
you
least.
want with it. Huh?
For copyright, at least.
Yeah,
only
for
10
copyright
years.
anyway, you know?
Yeah.
And then you could utilize it the way you want. And so for both it's
Now with in this situation too, though, is do you, whenever you announce stuff with Vigilant Fury,
Mhm.
do you say I co-created this with Gambino, or do you say that I created this with Gambino being the artist?
I never used that kind of language. It's more like it's a partnership. It's become a partnership at this point. It
Right.
evolved. It evolved into a collaboration. Because in the beginning it was still, you know, because I didn't know Gambino. I had no personal relationship with him. He just answered my ad on X about me looking for an artist, and he answered it, and I liked his stuff, his samples. So I contacted him, and we started negotiating, and then we got to work. And then as we kept on working together, we discovered that we have a lot of things in common, and we're very similar in terms of our passion for making it in the industry, in terms of like always finding ways to get better and you know, sharpen our tools to master our craft, our storytelling craft. And as that grew and grew, yeah, eventually it became like midway through a complete collaboration partnership. And it was great. Like that's the kind of those are kind of relationships you want to grow. You don't want to. It's one thing being a work for hire, because work for hire, you can still develop a friendship with the work for hire, obviously. But when it comes to collaboration, it's one of those beautiful things where you gotta watch it from the beginning to replay it, homie.
Yeah.
But
like, if it gets to the point where I think, and I think this is coming from you as a person, not being, you're more humble and not egotistical, unlike other people that, like, if you know, and when the book or something like that gets to that level of like really, really big, most people's egos step in, and then they say, I created it. It was my idea. I did it. And then that's when the other person says, no, we both did it. And that's when they bump heads.
But I think it's a matter of having receipts. That's why you always, once again, another piece of advice from me to all of you out there who are thinking about making comic books. You always negotiate that right at the beginning. You make it very clear as to what roles you're going to play and what the agreement is in terms of payment, right? For your commissions and in terms of ownership of intellectual property.
And royalties and stuff.
Royalties and what have you. And so, I think that happens when friends work together and they create this book and then it blows up and now it gets messy.
Right
now it gets messy because who did what, who put in the most work, who did all that stuff. It's
saying this also scenario with the Ghetto Dragon. I made like whenever you republish it or something like that, I've made suggestions in the book, and say you do those suggestions in the book, do I get some credit as to because you made the changes?
Maybe to the story, but not the overall creation of it. Maybe I'll name a character after you as a tribute. Maybe I'll give you some little things here and there to appreciate it, but to give you a piece of the IP, come on, man, come on, give me a break.
Well, that's it. I'm done. Goodbye.
Benjamin says you should get an editorial. See, I wouldn't mind that either. Editorial credit.
Yeah,
that's fine. But if it's like a minuscule thing, I mean, come on, like. Unless it's like a thing that really changes it. Like, for instance, like an example would be Ninja Turtles. Maybe you're the guy who suggested to Peter Laird and what was the other guy's name? Eastman, Kevin Eastman. Hey, it'd be kind of cool if they wore, the bands across the eyes. Then they'd be like, wait a second.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for my suggestion, you wouldn't, the Turtles would
have a whole different look.
Exactly. So I guess it depends, man. Also depends how generous you want to be, how grateful you are for that. And it's that's when it gets a little tricky. Yes.
And that's what happens especially when there's more people in the creative process.
Yeah.
More cooks in the kitchen.
Yes. You don't want too many cooks in the kitchen. You want to keep it as tight, as short as possible. Because then it complicates things if the book does become like a phenomenal hit by chance, or even not even a phenomenal hit, a pretty good hit, meaning you make some money, right? Like you make some pretty good money, pretty good livelihood to be able to sustain yourself in your newfound career. But overall, I think collaboration wise, again, it has to be right at the beginning. This is a collaboration. You're going to help me design. All right. And you design. And then based on who offered what, not offered what, who created the concept, I think that's the person who should own the majority of the IP. So if the artist came to the writer and said, hey, I got this idea, help me develop it, then in my opinion, the artist deserves the majority of that. If it's the other way around, the writer goes to the artist and goes, hey, I got this idea, a concept, but not really the whole thing. Help me develop it. Then the writer should have the majority ownership of that IP. Again, in my opinion, everyone can be different. Everyone may disagree, and that's okay. But I think if you nip it at the bud and you just put it out there in the clear right at the get-go, and you put it on paper and you sign the contract, you get that sucker notarized. That way there is no dispute after the fact. You have it written on paper in a legal document. It's always important to write a legal document, ladies and gentlemen. Don't ever shake hands. Don't ever do a handshake deal when it comes to a collaboration or a partnership or anything involving comic books. Always put a legal document down. So yeah, I think that's pretty much sums it up, dude. The conversation as to who gets what. It's a readers, I think for the most part don't care. Really? For the most part. I'm not saying they don't care. But
like if you were to give my 12-year-old nephew the Venom book, I don't think he's necessarily looking for Alan Moore level writing or Alex Ross level art.
Right.
I think he's looking for just like, oh, that's cool. It's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
I can understand what's happening,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
And they don't care about who wrote it. They don't care who drew it. They just know it looks cool.
Right.
It looks cool. It's like I have a story. My dad's old friend, he's a huge Kiss fan.
Mm.
Has Kiss memorabilia all over his garage. And one day I went over and I noticed he had a Tom McFarlane toys of the Kiss action figures.
Oh, yeah.
Like set up, and it looked cool. It was a cool little like, setup he had,
Display.
In his man cave, right? It was inside his man cave. So I remember I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's so cool. He got the McFarlane toy, the toys. That's really rad. And I was looking at it because he had set it up. He had built a little stage for him and the Kiss lights and stuff. Went all out. And I asked him. Oh, hey man, so how do you like these Tom McFarlane toys? Like, you like his stuff? Like, you enjoy like the toys he makes? And he looked up at me and he's like, excuse my language, who the fuck is Tom McFarlane? And I was like, he's the guy who created the toy. He's like, dude, I don't care. It was Kiss. I bought it because it was Kiss.
It looked cool.
He's like, get out of here with that nerd stuff, Julius. And so yeah, again, most people don't care. He bought it because he saw, oh, Kiss, I'm buying it. They didn't care who made the action figures. They didn't care that it was Tom McFarlane. He has no idea who he is. He has no idea about Spawn. All he saw was Kiss, and he bought it.
Yeah, because it's Kiss.
Because it's Kiss. And so going back to your point of your example of your nephew, he didn't care. It was Venom. It was Spider-Man. That's all he cares about.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, for the most part, it doesn't, they don't really care. It's the people who are trying to break into the industry is who should care the most about that.
Mm-hmm.
Discordia Comic Shop says, at Discordia Publishing, we leave 100% of IP and artist's name if it's their book. If it's our idea, our script, and we pay page rate, then then it's ours. Yeah, 100%, dude. 100%. That's the way it should be. And I think if most people understood that, I'm hoping that this stream at least can get people who are thinking about making comic books, to protect themselves, protect your creation
from a lot of ugliness down the line.
Yeah. And if even if it's your friends, just always like have a trust factor and try to learn how to recognize red flags. That's just a life lesson right there.
I have a best friend, and and he's great. He's my best friend. I've known him for 20 plus years. I do not trust him with money at all. Or anything like that. It's like, there you go. I'm never going to if I give him money, I'm never getting it back or anything like that. I don't do, but he's my best friend and I trust him with all the other stuff. Just not like money.
Yeah.
So it's just it's different per person.
There are many IP hogs companies out there now, such as Webtoon. Yeah, dude, I heard about Webtoon, and again, you have to kind of, I don't want to say play ball, but know what you want to know, what you're okay of letting go, and what you don't want to let it go. So, for instance, Ghetto Dragon, mine. I'm never gonna let it go to anybody in terms of rights. Vigilant Fury, I'm okay to shop it around and and have publishers potentially tell me, well, the cover it needs some work. Can you redo the cover? Fine. If that's what it takes to publish it, I'll do it. But that's it. I'm not gonna just put it willy-nilly anywhere. Of course, I'll have to talk to Gambino at that point. Freddie says, when I talk about my stories, I don't give out too much info. What do you mean by that? Talking about your oh, I see. When you want to hire an artist, Freddie, is that what you mean? When you want to hire an artist? Yeah, that's also a good thing too. Like don't give away unless they sign an NDA. That's also important too. Sign an NDA, so that way they don't talk about it, they don't take it from you, and now you have it in writing that this person signed it, and if he takes it, then you have legal grounds to get it back.
Like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. How was gonna
Yeah,
go
yeah. I'll
off to
just
the
wait a
side
year
over
or
here.
two. Yeah, I'll wait a year or two and I'll do it myself, differently. But yeah, again, going back to what I was saying, I think that sums it up. Take this as you will, guys. Rewatch it, save it, share it with your friends. I think hey, what's up, James? Long
Hey.
time, man. Long time, dude. For those of you who don't know, Broken Compass Entertainment is run by a good dude, a very ambitious, very talented writer. His name is James. Yeah, Broken Compass. Yeah, you're gonna have to hit the replay, dude. We started early, but thanks for coming by, dude. It's been a while, man. It's been a while since you and I have hung out on streams and talk shop. But now I'm getting into this. That's good, Freddie. You should get that, especially moving forward. If you're gonna start looking for artists to draw your stories, you always want to do that. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. You got any other questions, Kyle, regarding this topic? I think I pretty much covered it all, and I hope people don't take offense to it. And if you do, hey, I guess sorry.
I just think, summing it up, it's a case by case basis. Obviously, whoever comes up with the most idea, obviously rationally should get more credit. As many people have, there's lots of biases. Yeah.
Whatever.
Obviously, the superstar artists like Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane, they're going to obviously say, oh yeah, well, it's going to be the art that's the most important. Or you got, Neil Gaiman or something like that. They're saying, well, it's going to be the writing because they're writers.
Right.
So
right.
it's obviously they're going to be championing what they do most. But it's all a case by case basis, and whoever comes up with the characters and IPs and stuff, obviously, like any lawyer says, get it in writing. Make sure everything is squared away.
Hey, look, you and Benjamin are on the same wavelength.
That's what I say. Yeah, get it in writing. No doubts, no confusion. Everybody knows their place, and then a lot of these headaches would not happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Headaches. You want to avoid the headaches, and always protect yourself. So that way you don't get your creation stolen from under you. And that's happened countless times over the years. So in other words, in 2024, there is no excuse to sign a bad deal.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to enter this industry, obviously, I would hope all of you who are aspiring, writers or artists in the comic book field would research the history of this industry, and you find out quickly how many people have been screwed over of the things developed. I mean, you have Miracle Man, right? McFarlane and Neil Gaiman went at it for years in the court system to determine who owned the rights to Miracle Man or
and
Marvel
also
Man.
There's that, and also Angela, I think was the character.
Angela. Oh God, I don't want to say it's just. I think it was Angela. Yeah,
Neil Gaiman created a couple characters.
Yeah, he created a couple characters for Spawn. Tom McFarlane thought it belonged to him, but in reality, it didn't, and they went to court for that as well. Yeah. And Bill Finger, Bob Kane is another prime example of that. Bill Finger created the Batcave. I mean, he added so much lore to the Batman mythos, and Bob Kane just took it all and said mine. And so there's countless examples of these things. So now you just have to remember, whenever someone does approach you, I'm interested in this, let's do this, you always want to ask the question, what is the deal? And let's put it in writing. And that's it. And then you'll find out real quick if they're being nefarious. Not just friends. If they're being nefarious or if they're being legit.
Yeah.
Because if they don't want, if they're like, oh, I don't know, man, I think no, forget it. Thank you. Have a good day. Because you always want to do that for both writer or artist. If you're a writer or an artist, you always want to make sure what is the deal, and let's put it in writing. Broken Compass says, the great Connor McCreary once said to me, may the words always flow and the artists make them better. Have lived it ever since. He's a good friend. Yeah, great. That's a great piece of advice there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, dude. I love
That's
that.
that's a good tag.
Yeah, it is a good tag. That is a good tag. Because yeah, I agree. It is a visual. At the end of the day, it is a visual medium. And at the end of the day, the artist is the DJ who's playing the killer tracks, right, to get people into the party. And the
Yeah.
MC is the one that keeps them coming back. So
I'd say, yeah.
So there you have it, guys. That's the stream. For the topic, we're not going to end the stream. We still have is it worth the pickup happening, and this to introduce it. Oh, you want have any final thoughts, Kyle, before we move on?
No, I think we covered it all. It was pretty good ending thing by Broken Compass.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Broken Compass, for that. That was very a very fitting ending to the conversation. I think. Hold on, give me a second here.
But with this book that we're going to review, obviously we are talking about indie creators and stuff
Yes.
like that, and
Yes.
and Image is a big one in that. So there's a lot of new books that are coming out by Image, by a lot of comic creators that are, I guess, veterans, you would say,
Yes.
of the comic book industry.
Yes.
And so this book is a new book that has come out, and we're going to review it.
All right.
All right. So Ben, you are right. Jeff Johns is in the hot seat tonight. I guess
I wish he was here in the hot seat tonight. That would have been fantastic if he was here to sit and hear his review live on the channel. Maybe one day, if I ever reach to that top of that mountain and I'm able to have a first name, relationship with Mr. Jeff Johns, maybe he could be on the channel. And
never say never.
Never say never. Yeah, you're right. Never say never.
All right, so
floor is yours, Kyle. Handle it.
Okay, so this book is called Rook Exodus by Jeff Johns, Jason Fabok.
I wouldn't know, man.
Colors by Brad Anderson. Letters by Rob Lee. How do you pronounce it?
Lee. I'll say Lee.
Lee.
I'll say Lee. Screw it.
And then different covers by a bunch of people there. So this is the newest line called Ghost Machine, which is Jeff Johns and a whole bunch of artists. They're getting together to write a whole bunch of stories. And they've been doing a lot of promotional material on this.
Yeah.
Not just on this, but all of the different stories that they're doing, which it's kind of interesting. Kind of like, it's like, how come now is it that all these veteran comic creators are coming out of the woodwork, per se, to put together comic books again?
Because the money is running dry in the corporate-owned comic book publishers. That's why.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why.
I know, but it's just interesting that if the conversation was, oh, comics is great right now, why is it that all these people need to come out and create these stories if it already is good? But that's a topic for another time.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
I'll just say this: someone is lying. Let's just say that.
So, Rook Exodus. This story, I picked this up because it's part of the Ghost Machine. I also picked up the other two, which was Geiger and Redcoat. Redcoat, to me, I haven't read it yet, but that one was the one that I was looking forward to the most and intrigued me the most. This one, I got first because the comic book shop didn't mess up my pull box, so this was the only one that they had first. Right. So I had low expectations because this is I didn't know anything about it. Granted, I didn't know anything about the other books as well, but was it all the stuff saying on the
Yeah, I have to agree. But go on with your review.
Okay,
We'll go page by page. Just give us the brief rundown what the story is about, and then we'll go page by
I'm
page.
getting to that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I
Oh,
got
which
to
by the
just
way, if you're new to
explain.
to the show, hold on. If you're new to the channel, is it worth the pickup? Sorry, Kyle. I'm sorry. I apologize. Let me just do it real quick. People need to know. They need to have a
You're the
recap.
one who's like telling me to hurry up and get on with the
I'm
story, and then
sorry.
you
I'm
know it's
sorry.
not.
Okay. For those of you who are new to the channel, is it worth the pickup? Is Kyle's review. Kyle is a brand new comic book reader. He's been reading comics for only a little bit over a year now,
Yeah,
and he comes at it from a perspective of a reader, pure and simple.
yeah,
So he goes to the comic shops every Wednesday, and he goes and a new arrival wall, and he takes his chances reading, the latest, arrivals of comic books. And so this show, the second half of this show is always to review indie books. So if you have a crowdfunded book, or if you have indie book, Image is considered to me indie for me, Dark Horse or any small press, we'll review it and we'll let you guys know if it's Kyle will let you know if it's worth the pickup. Kyle, go
yeah.
ahead. I apologize.
All right, Rook Exodus. This follows a story of basically where humanity has sort of like Wall-E thing, where all the resources dried up and all the there's famines and wars and stuff like that that's happening on Earth. And so this big old company says, "Oh, come with us, and we'll take you to this beautiful new land out in the solar system, and where we'll set up this whole new environment. We'll have these helmets where you can control all the animals that are on the planet, so you don't have to worry about them eating your crops or anything like that, or worry about them attacking you. And it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be utopia. And then apocalyptic happens there on that planet, and so really quickly. And so basically everybody that was going there had to hightail it and turn back around because it just all went down the gutter. And so this is a story of our main character, Rook, who is also trying to get off world. However, all the spaceships and everything have already left. All the functional ones, the good functional ones, have left. And what's left is just scraps. And so he's one of the only handful of people left on this world that's just trying to scrape together enough material to build a ship to leave, because the planet is gonna basically revert to a nothing desert and pretty soon. And so yeah, it just follows his journey. Is it goes through his day-to-day of going to
Good point.
different
Good point.
what's it say?
He says, "Why does Rook need the binoculars? His helmet looks like it should have that built-in. Wasted op." Nice.
Because
right,
you want
Kyle.
the establishing shot with him looking through binoculars, okay? The helmets, I think, from what I gather from the story, the helmets are only there designed to have them control the animal that's associated with them. So in this instance, Rook, his helmet is with crows, and so he is able to control crows throughout the whole world, whole planet. And there's other characters that have bear helmets; they control bears. And then another thing too, because of this planet and the way that things work, everything is double the size that it normally is. So you see giant bears and giant stuff.
I think it was broken.
Possibly, you
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, that's a quandary. But I like this story because it's different in the fact that it's a post-apocalyptic of an already established utopia. You get all the post-apocalyptic stuff on Earth,
Right.
and this is it's Earth equivalent, but it's a post-apocalyptic of an already utopian society, which I kind of like. It definitely shows, like, in some of the panels, like what the world did look like. There's some flashbacks to it back when it was fully pristine. But like
What a shot! That's a
one
rad
of the
shot.
things that I was gonna say, yeah, is it gives you definitely a sense of scale, especially like with the bears. You see how menacingly big the bears are. You see how large these cities were that they were built. And basically it just shows that he's uh alone in this whole world. Um yeah. So saw a giant crow. Maybe he's from the book.
Ah, look at that
But look at
beauty.
this
Woo,
shot here, this double
man.
page spread.
Yeah, awesome.
Um but yeah, it basically just goes through his life. It gives some backstory to the world, and ends with some of the characters not wanting to leave the planet and basically trying to make everybody stay on the planet because of some vendetta that we don't know of yet.
Okay, interesting.
Um, but throughout, yeah, like I said, here throughout the book, we learn about his daily routine. I like that there's not a whole lot of dialogue throughout most of it. It you're definitely shown his day-to-day life more than he just telling you. You can definitely see that he's alone, like in the giant theater. He only thing he does to like survive is just go raiding all of the hotels and stuff that were there that were stocked of food, and then just goes through every day a different hotel room to get the supplies of the next, because they're all like pre-stocked already. But since
Right.
nobody, and since soon as they, humans left to go there, they turned back around, so nobody really lived in any of this stuff. So they kind of have free reign. And you can, that's what I also like too, is that it definitely showed, because every day he goes to a new hotel room, so it gives you a sense of time passing because they skip numbers. It's like, okay, well, it's been 100 days or it's been 200 days because it went from 701 to 702 that he's going to.
Broken Compass says, I hate to say it, but I'm calling either AI or 3D assets on this one. Not for all of it, but those city shots look sus AF. Huh, interesting. Interesting. I didn't catch that but you could be right.
It's hard to tell these days.
Yeah, it's hard to tell nowadays, right? Because I'm not opposed to 3D assets. I know Chuck Austin used a lot of it in War Machine back in the day, and I didn't mind that either, because I liked Chuck Austin's work. So I mean, I guess it depends, man. Like, it just depends on how well you utilize it too. If you get lazy with it, it looks kind of wonky and kind of cheap, but if you use it well, then it could turn out good. Hey Ace, hi, just dropping in the credit debate, a big controversy among the Marvel bullpen. Thoughts? I don't know what the was it was a Marvel bullpen. I don't know if you just came in, Ace, but watch the replay. I go pretty deep on the conversation on the topic at hand.
Watch the replay.
Yeah, watch the replay. We go pretty deep. Freddie says, I love how he sees a picture of his family but focuses on himself. Like, damn, look how young and handsome I was next to my dead family. All right, go on, Kyle. Are you still talking about the story, or what's going on?
I mean, that's it's basically the story. We can go into all the different panels and stuff like that is happening. He does have a friend, which is the boars or pigs guy. And the pigs guy, he doesn't want to leave the planet. And Crow is all like, or Rook, he's trying to convince him. It's like, dude, this planet's dying.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good, Ace. Don't worry about it, man. It's all good. Tomato. Yeah. Tomato, Broken. Just depends. But go on. I'm sorry, Kyle.
So yeah, he's trying to tell everybody, here the planet's dying. There's nothing for you here. Why are you wanting to stay? And his argument is all like, where are we going to go back to? Back to Earth, where that's also in shambles too?
Mm,
So it's like it's either shambles here or shambles there.
right. So they're kind of stuck then, essentially.
Yeah. So this is the flashback. This is to when they were first leaving. So this is because he's a farmer and his dad was a farmer. And this is them looking at the news and basically saying like it's the end of the world type thing where there's floods and there's plague and
This is on Earth, or is this a different planet?
This is Earth. This is Earth before the kid in that picture. That's Rook.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, this is Earth, and this is a commercial saying, oh, look at all the floods and stuff like that. Come to Exodus, where we will take you to the new planet, and all your troubles will be gone. It's basically like the Wall-E plot,
right?
And they're in the story. There's like controversy to say that that the father burned down the cat about the barn and the house and everything,
right?
But it's sort of left ambiguous. So, but
yeah, thanks for joining us, Ace. Glad you could be here.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's just somebody trying to escape a planet, that's dying, and we're just gonna have to follow his adventure, essentially, right? Follow him in his journey.
And and there's some time constraint in this. There's some kind of time constraint because the food is dwindling, because the oceans that had all the fish in it are all drying up and all the fish are dying and being eaten. And so at that point, there's not going to be enough food on the planet. And they're also saying that the, whatever powers their helmets and stuff will go out. And so then they won't be able to control the animals anymore. And then they'll have that problem.
I see. Right.
So right now, the only thing that's stopping the animals from just tearing through everybody is because they're still wearing the helmets that control them.
I see.
How many pages is in this issue? It's 40 pages, and it was $3.99.
Look at that price point! Wow. Now that's how you do accessibility, right there.
Yeah.
40 pages at $3.99. Amazing. Kudos to Ghost Machine to be able to do that.
Yeah. So obviously, so it's still more showing.
Oh wait, is there a spoiler here in the end?
Not necessarily spoilers per se, unless you want to go into it.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the images that you sent me to show here.
I mean, it's not like the creators here to like, and the book is like,
but you don't know.
The book is out on shelves.
I see 38 people watching right now, and I don't know if those 38 people have read this yet.
Oh, okay.
That's
there's
the thing.
Not like really spoilers per se.
I mean, the ending is kind of spoilery. I don't want to showcase what happens in the end there.
All right, fine. Don't show what happened.
Okay, I won't show. I'm gonna scroll back up.
Okay.
They called the big guy poop. Yes, they did.
Yeah, that's one of the jokes.
That. We discussed that earlier, Broken, about that, and we're like, come on, man, really couldn't come up with something else.
Yeah, that's one of the things. If you want to go into like some of the nitpicks and stuff that we talked about, you want to go all the way back up to the top.
Yeah.
So one of the main contentions that we had, me and Julius here, was at the start of the book. I myself like when things are explained, I guess you would say.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why I like the Conan series that's happening right now, because I akin it to reading a novel with the art sort of as supplemental to it as well.
Right.
you did not like this opening
I
because
didn't. No, I was not a big fan of it. Just
because
to
it
answer
was
this,
too wordy, I guess.
yeah. Well, let me answer Ace Jimmy's question. Yeah, Ace, we have two segments in our live stream. The first hour is we discuss the topic that we discussed. Like for instance, today was about writer artist who gets the most credit, who should get most credit, so on and so forth. And then after we discuss that topic for about an hour or so, depending, then we move into is it worth the pickup with Kyle here, who reviews indie books, who's a reader, just a reader. He doesn't write or make comic books. He's just I guess a newbie reader. He's only like a year old, a year into reading comics. So
But learning a lot.
he reviews indie books and just gives a whole perspective on a reader outlook on what he
Yeah.
liked, whether he liked it or not, and then he tells you if it's worth the pickup or not worth the pickup. So that's pretty much what the segment is.
And then also you give your points from time to time as a writer and
Yes.
looking at it from that perspective as well.
Jay's probably seen what I see here. This letter in his dog. I don't go that harsh. Broken Compass. For me, because I'm a fan of showing and not telling. Now, my biggest, I guess, problem with this was this first line here. No one knows why the world engine failed, but it did. Now, I get it, of course. And of course, the second line is as the system shut down, everyone who bought a ticket to this manufactured planet of broken promises and false control bought another ticket off it, and so on and so forth. It goes, and they show this rocket, and we have no idea. In my personal opinion, by the way, we have no clue as to what it entails until we obviously keep reading. It's a ship that goes up, and then boom, it malfunctions, and then it crashes, and then we get introduced to the main character of the story, which is a great segment, a great 5-page segment. I'm not taking that away from the creator, the writer and artist here. They did a great job setting this up for the introduction of the character. But I prefer a lot of mystery, a little bit of mystery in the beginning. I want to be shown, not told. So it would have been nice to just see this without any of this dialogue. Maybe a little bit, maybe one box, to kind of give like an idea of what's going on. Like maybe this here, no communication, or like right here. This could have been it. As the last ship of the paying population boarded, the corporation said they come back for us. They hired help. That was 2 years ago, and there's been no sign of anyone, no communication, nothing flying down from the sky to rescue us. This right here, this would have hooked me right away to continue on reading it.
Yeah.
But this right here, you didn't need it. If I were the editor, I would have suggested, hey, you know what? This right here, let's not use it. Let's keep this here. This right here will get readers to be like, ooh, okay. And then it leads to this. And it would have worked beautifully, in my opinion. In my opinion. I'm not saying that.
See, I like that line right there where it says, "But most aren't rocket scientists."
And I love that everything worked. Everything else worked for me. With this whole sequence here, because it's tragic. It's now there's a connection. There's an emotional connection there. And you want now you want to know what's going on, and then we get the slow trickle reveal of what's going on in this world.
But see, the thing is, I like that perspective. I like getting at least some idea what's happening in this book to start off with. That way I can get the right frame of mind as I'm reading it, because I know what's happening a little bit more and I'm not just flying into it super blind.
But what if the writers say, come on, Julius? What you mean, Freddie? No, again, that's a nitpick of mine. That's just me. If you enjoyed it, hey, great. But my personal, again, I'm coming from the perspective of an editor/writer. So when I look at comic book scripts or look at sequentials, I always want to make sure that the reader is like you dangle a carrot like a horse right in front of a horse, right? You want to lead the reader into losing themselves in the story, and I feel like this section here would have immediately got me. Okay, now I need to know what's going on. Because now there's all this little 1, 2, 3, 4 narration boxes. It's all you needed.
But see, and then also I liked to go back up even further to the
Mhm.
previous page on that.
Yeah.
Is it gives a timetable of how
Yeah,
everything happens.
that's great.
Yeah,
That's great.
that it shows.
Who am I to talk? People said page 1 of Bastards 1 was wordy. Shrug. Hey, you know what, Broken Compass? Maybe we should review your book next because I have a copy of it. So I can lend it to Kyle here. And if you want to join us in the hot seat and get a live review from a reader, an actual reader,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
I don't
you're more
hold
than
back
welcome.
on. I don't hold back. You can go and watch our previous videos.
Yeah.
Of us.
He doesn't hold
reviewing
back.
other comic books. If I say something's really bad, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, the brave souls who have joined us have been Ray Ramos from 656 Comics, Dionysius from Tome of Reckoning joined us for a live review, and Benjamin Soto also
Mhm.
joined us for his live review. And kudos to them for coming on and
Huge
listening
respect.
to a live review. He needs to take drugs. Come on, Brooke. No, Kyle's not the kind to do that.
There was also a slight nitpick and inconsistency that I did notice when I was reading the book is
Mhm.
that they did mention that all the animals are double sized in this world, and you see that with the pigs and
Right.
the bears and stuff like that, which are the only real animals that we see. But the crows aren't, which was strange to me. If your main character is controlling the
Oh,
crows,
right. I didn't even catch that. You're right.
the crows would have been double sized. That would have been a lot cooler if it's like,
Yeah, hell yeah, it would have
giant
been a lot
crows that are
cooler.
following him around. They're just normal
Oh,
size.
right. You're right, dude. Oh, can you imagine if they were like his size? That would have been great.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Like
would have been
giant,
so
like almost
awesome.
like those like eagles from Lord of the Rings type.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that would have been sick. You're right. You're right. That would have been amazing if they did
So
that.
that's a slight inconsistency / plot hole that I noticed. Because everything else is double sized. Like
Yeah,
you go
yeah.
and look at,
We saw the bear. We saw the bear take up almost a whole page.
yeah, I think it's the next
You
one
know?
down. I think if you keep scrolling.
Wait, hold on. Like the one at Crypto Arena. What are you talking about, Freddie? What are you referring to? Crypto Arena. I'm not sure I catch on. I'm catching on to that. Yeah, see, here's
Yeah.
a splash with the bear. Look at the size of this bear.
Yes, compared to him, it's like 3
Yeah.
times the size almost.
It would have been cool to have a crow, yeah, the size of his height. That would have been cool. And then maybe instead of this here, it could have been him telling the crows to attack the bear.
Which I mean, he does, but it's a bunch of little crows that do it. So if you scroll down, he does tell. He tells. Yeah, see, he tells the
Yeah,
crows.
but it's a bunch of small
a
ones.
bunch of
though,
little
but
crows.
yeah, it just, I guess, again, it's a creative choice. I probably, I wouldn't have chosen that personally, but it's a creative choice, and you gotta respect it. They went with it. They didn't back down from it. So hey, some things work, some things don't.
Yeah.
Personally speaking, of course.
Another thing too that you had an issue with was the helmets and the character design itself, and how he looks too similar to Star-Lord.
I want to ask the chat here. Okay, now be honest with me, chat. Doesn't this look like Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy? With the exception of the helmet, obviously it's designed differently, but the gun, the trench coat, the belt, the pants, I mean, it just gave off Star-Lord for me when I first saw it.
I say that it also could remind me a little of like the Red Hood from.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I would say that to an extent.
Dude, I haven't I don't know how to do that yet. I'm still kind of learning the whole YouTube thing, how to give people wrenches. So once I figure that out, because I've been, it's like on my to-do list. But once I do, there'll be a few people here that are going to get wrenched because they've been loyal watchers since the beginning. But
that sounds like a weird terminology. They're gonna get wrenched.
Well, it's like a little, it's a little wrench symbol on YouTube where they could like share links to books and stuff.
Okay.
On the chat. Grifter. Oh, good point. Grifter. He does kind of look like Grifter as well from Wildcats.
Oh yeah.
So I'm guessing that perhaps Jeff Johns and company here designed these characters to kind of make them look similar to established characters. I think
Probably.
that's probably what they're going for here. But other than the
I'd say they'd
nitpicks,
also tried. I mean, definitely they try to look, model their design off of what type of animal that they're supposed to be
yeah,
controlling.
of course, yeah.
So
for sure.
the crow guy seems very lonery.
Mhm.
Leaner type character. The boar pig guy is very big and I want to say like a heavier set. I would say.
Good. Brady has a good question here. But how else are you supposed to dress in a post-apocalyptic world? Good
I
point.
know that's like
Very good
everybody
point.
that dressed like
Yeah.
that.
No,
I
of
mean,
course. I get it. I get it.
Mad,
It's
Ma-
again,
Mad Max.
it's a nitpick. It's just a nitpick. It doesn't ruin the book. It doesn't destroy the experience of reading the book. It's just that was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw the cover. It reminded me of Star-Lord.
Yeah.
He looks that way because white face paint with clown features were taken. Freaking broken.
It's
And
not
again,
true.
here you go. Another good point by Ben. How will the animals know who to listen to if the helmets don't match them? Good point. Another great point.
Right.
Okay, here's what I would have done. Again, if I was the editor of this book and I was looking over the pages, I would have told them, you know what, guys, this is giving me too much of a Star-Lord look. What if we give this guy like a mohawk black feather thing here in his helmet? Why not?
Well,
Make it
here,
look unique.
blow
Unique
up
to the
my.
design,
I didn't take a picture of this, but at the back it shows all the different helmets that are going to be there. So blow up my screen if you can. So this is what all the different helmets that I'm assuming are going to pop up throughout the series of the characters that are going to be controlling those animals.
Ah, okay.
So like there's all the different designs of
I like
what
that wolf
they
one. That wolf one's pretty cool. Or coyote, maybe a wolf or
I think
coyote.
this is the wolf one and this is like a dog or coyote.
Okay. All right, cool.
So just to put things in perspective. Let's see.
Broken Compass asks, what do the helmets and animals thing do for the story? Like, why is that even a thing? Is there a purpose other than the cool factor? Oh yeah, I think he explained
Yeah.
it. Broken.
Yeah, so in the story, this Exodus or this utopia, the helmets were supposed to be designed so that the humans will have control over every single thing on this planet. So all the animals, all the plants, and everything that they can control. And so that you won't have to worry about the bugs or something like that getting into crops, or you don't have to worry about your livestock being eaten by wolves and stuff like that, because you would control all the animals that would do those things. So they
Of course you were. Okay, so there you go. There's your answer, Broken Compass.
And it is cool. I mean, from a perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it's design. I just wish there was a bit more to make it more uniquely their own. Is what I'm saying. Other than that,
Broken
like,
Compass doesn't seem all that thrilled by it.
I guess it is a weak explanation, but hey, it's Jeff Johns. He probably has a reason. Maybe he's going to explain it further. I have no idea, but that's again.
That's the
Every
answer.
every writer involved in the comic book creation, we always have to deal with creative choices, and we have to go with our instinct for a lot of the time. And a lot of the times, or sometimes, hopefully, it's wrong. Our instincts are wrong on some occasion, and maybe in this case, it was the wrong one. But yeah, again, yeah, you will have to read it. You will have to read the issue. I skimmed through it. I didn't have a chance to read it, but I will say, guys, this is very impressive. The artwork is phenomenal. Jeff Johns he's always been one of my favorite writers, not top 5, but always whenever I saw his name, I knew I was going to get something good with Jeff Johns. Not all the time, but for the most part, I personally I would. The sequentials are on point. To add to Broken Compass's a point about the lettering. The lettering, yeah, it was a bit too a bit much, and the placement was kind of off for me as well. Maybe they could have held back on some of the SFX, but like for example, this is cool. This was a cool placement of the explosion. Boom, you know, because
Right.
the primary focus is right here, but
And that's right
here,
at the end of the page.
yeah, here again personally I would have placed this maybe here, like starting here. The Coom would have started here. Coom crack, you know, right here. You have so much open space right here. You could have done it there. But again, it's just my personal preference. But other than that, man, the book is phenomenal. 40 pages at $3.99. I mean, how great is that? I mean, comic books nowadays are so expensive, and a lot of the time,
You get $5 for a 32-page Marvel book, and it's only like really like
22
20
pages of story, and the rest is just
yeah,
ads.
ads.
Yeah, and
At
here
least
you get
in here there's no ads.
there's no ads, and that's fantastic. You know, $3.99, 40 pages. I mean, what more can you ask for? That's exactly what comic books should be: affordable, accessible, and not only that, a solid book from beginning to end with, again, personal, minute little little nitpicks for me. But other than that, it's worth it. I think it's worth it. But Kyle, you have the final say because this is your segment. What's the
Yeah.
final say for you? Is it worth the pickup or not worth the pickup?
I say it's definitely worth the pickup because I do, even with all of this, I do enjoy the premise of the story.
44 pages of Crow Lord.
Who? That's an outlaw name. Come on.
I don't know. I'm just really low on my comics. The worse, the better. Webcomic One Punch Man all the way. Hey, man. Hey, you like what you like, is Jimmy. It's all good, dude. If you like it, go for it. You know. But in this instance, we're reviewing Rook, and I'm accustomed to, I guess, my palate is a little bit more spoiled because I've been exposed to so much great work in the freaking 30 years that I've been reading comic books. So I'm very picky with.
I'm too inexperienced to say that this is not a good book.
You know, no, I wouldn't say you're inexperienced. You know what you like. That's the thing.
Yeah.
If you know what you like, hey, more power to you. I have no problem or qualms for people who like what they like. It's all good, you know? So, but yeah, you were saying it's worth the pickup?
It's worth a pickup. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the premise. I am looking forward actually to reading the next book or the next issue and continuing on this series. And this, like I said in the beginning, this was one of the books that I had the least expectations for when I picked it up. And I just read it because I'm like, okay, I'll read it. It's Jeff Johns. I do like his stuff. I looked at the art. It looks pretty good. So I'll give it a chance. And I was pleasantly surprised.
I'm a simple man. I like my comics with good lettering, and my Julius with goatees. That's right, man. I got rid of my my goatee. my little requested that I shave it off because she wanted to see me without it, and so now when I try to grow it back, she sees it and goes, "Daddy, can you shave again?" So I try to grow it back, man, but she's not letting me. So I'm gonna let my little girl enjoy my dashing looks for a while longer. But there you have it. There you have it, folks. Rook #1 by Jeff Johns and Jason
Fabok.
Apologies for mispronouncing your name if we did.
If you're new to the channel, we are terrible with more so me, terrible with pronouncing names.
Yeah.
So please don't be offended because we cannot pronounce names.
And look at this to keep with the theme of the topic of today's show. Look at the creators listed here: Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok, creators.
Yeah.
So that tells me they're probably on the even, maybe I don't know. I'm just guessing 50-50. Who knows? But there they are right there, listed and credited as both creators. So there you have it. They probably cut a deal and they now have this book ready to go, and hopefully they gain a lot of success, because it's unfortunate that Jeff Johns left DC because he was doing so much work, the great work at DC, and I was hoping for more, but things didn't work out. He left the company, or he got fired. I have no idea. But now that he's doing this, great. We get to see more Jeff Johns, and not only that, but also freaking new stuff, new
I
original
know.
stuff, which is great. That's all you want, Ace Jimmy says, okay, I get that too. I find the charm in the old Jack Kirby stuff where there are mistakes. Makes me feel better about my art knowing that someone like that could become the god. No, absolutely, Ace Jimmy. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I guess for lack of a better term, like you say, lo-fi comics, we always like to see the growth of an artist. When you look at the first year of the famous artist's work, I think an example would be I think Travis Charest is a good example. When he first started drawing comics, he was pretty much a Jim Lee copy. Essentially, he was just copying Jim Lee, right? But as the years progressed, he found his own style and became his own. And that goes for Mike Allred. Mike Allred is another favorite of mine, who did oh gosh, why can't I remember it? Madman Comics. The same thing. He started out, his style was unique, different, not to my liking, but it was great to see like his growth with that style. And yeah, just keep at it, man. Keep doing what you're doing, and the more you do it, the more you'll find yourself developing into your own respectful artist in your own style.
The only way you get better is you just keep on doing it.
Exactly. Sorry for responding to you. Oh, dude, don't worry about it, man. This is all part of it. This is all part of the show. It's to interact with you guys, talk to you guys. You guys share your thoughts, and we interact with you. It's all good conversation. Benjamin says, yeah, exactly. It's all part of the show. Mark Millar gives his artist co-credit. Yeah, he does. Compass Entertainment says, I've been on the Paul Dini kick, so maybe I'm a little more critical right now. Hey, I can't blame, man. Paul Dini is like freaking what a talent.
What's he doing right now?
I don't know, actually. I just remember he was a main writer. Huh?
What did he do?
Oh, he created Harley Quinn for the Batman animated series.
Oh, okay.
He did a lot, man. He did a lot to add to the Batman lore as well. Right now, what's he doing right now? He's sleeping. So there you have it, folks. Rook is worth the pickup. So if you go to your comic shops this coming weekend or the coming week and you see it on the wall, pick it up. It has Kyle's seal of approval for you to pick it up and enjoy it. So thank you, Jimmy. Thank you so much. I'll definitely, man. It's we want to like build a community where we love comics, talk about comics, and talk about it respectfully and maturely, right? We could disagree. We don't have to agree on everything. We can have each other's opinions. You may disagree with something that I may say is what I think is right, and vice versa. And Kyle and I don't agree on everything either. Like he loves the Star Wars prequels, and I think they're crap. And
you like the sequels, and they're terrible.
Whoa, hold your horses there. I like Last Jedi, not the
still terrible.
But that's what it's all about. We like to have fun. We like to talk comics, talk shop, and also be serious about the the industry and take it seriously, because we want it to flourish, we want it to grow, we want it to keep going, and right now it's tough times, but again, it's not a topic for another time. But
I'm a brand new comic guy. I don't want the industry to go away right as I'm coming into it.
Exactly. There you go. Artists should never be self-critical about their style when most people can't draw a stick figure. Exactly, Discordia. Good great point. Absolutely. Keep drawing, dude. Keep drawing. Don't ever let anyone tell you you suck. You know, because everyone has their own unique style, their own way to express themselves artistically. I have mine. I'm sure Kyle has his own, and everyone in the chat has their own. So, yeah, it's it just keep on doing it. You'll eventually find your way. HGM says, yeah, Star Wars is contentious. I think there's
Yeah.
good and all the content, but all bad. Yeah, it's one of those things where I have, I always remind myself, there's just movies. They're just movies. I am living my life the best the way I can. And at the end of the day, Star Wars is just a movie that none of us have control over because we don't own the IP, right?
Right.
Disney owns
Yeah.
it. They can do it. They can do whatever they want with it. We may not all like it, and that's okay too. We just stop watching. I just stopped watching. That's pretty much what I did.
Yeah.
But again, that's another topic for another day. One day, Kyle and I will have the great debate.
Yeah.
We will have the great debate about the prequels compared to the Disney sequel.
Yeah. That's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be fun. Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
I'm gonna bust out so many notes and things, and so you're gonna see a whole another side of me.
Yeah.
Like, we talk, because we talk to each other all the time.
Yeah.
And
we do.
anytime that topic comes in conversation, it's like we're almost like throwing tables at each other.
Yeah. Yep. And it's all good. We don't take it personal.
But we're still laughing together right here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's to each their own, right? To each their own. Because at the end of the day, like I said, they're just movies. And if you like them, cool. Hey, I love Howard the Duck, and Howard the Duck is objectively terrible, but I love it. I love it. It's one of my favorites to watch over and over again. My wife thinks I'm crazy that I even like that movie.
Well, I love it. I like Iron Man 2. Everybody says Iron Man 2 sucks and stuff like that, but I liked Iron Man 2.
Really? Really?
Yeah, I see a lot of people say Iron Man 2 is like one of the worst ones.
Jeez. Dang. I had no idea about that, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So that's it, guys. That's all I have for today.
Any updates on Vigilant Fury, Reset Protocol, Dragon?
Yes. Again, Vigilant Fury is we're close to done. I lettered it all, so that's ready to go. I'm just waiting for Gambino to deliver the rest of the pages, and then once he does, I'm gonna letter those, and then we're gonna do one more run through, and then off the printers we go. And oh yeah, I love Ahsoka and Bad Batch, though. I will say Kylo Ren is awesome, and the Emperor would just be a nobody character without the prequels.
All right. Well, John.
Yeah, where's my book, Julius? My Vigilant Fury. No, you're right. For those of you who don't know, I put up I love Iron Man 2 as well.
Yeah.
Vigilant Fury took longer than expected because at the midway point, Anthony Gambino changed his style and it got way better, and so he had to go back and redraw the first 20-25 pages roughly. So he's been working hard to get that out of the way, and so we're close. And once we get there, like I said, it's off the printers and off to fulfillment. And so there's that for Vigilant Fury. Ghetto Dragon, I'm working on the campaign for the Second Chance, and working really hard to get that up and going because it's going to be very bare minimum in terms of perks and what have you. But I'm hoping you'll like what I'm going to offer for the Second Chance campaign, and then book 2 will follow that closely. So right now I have Vigilant Fury and Reset Protocol, my other comic book that I crowdfunded, close to being done, relettered, and then once I get that done, the line will be Vigilant Fury first, and then Reset Protocol, and then Ghetto Dragon book 1 and book 2, hopefully by the end of the year. So there's that.
Cool.
Yeah, busy, man. Indie comic book writers, man, we just have it tough. So especially if we don't have as much of a budget as the
big two,
or someone with a lot of money to spend. so there's that to consider. So yeah, that's it, guys. Normally Normally when by the end of the show I show something that I find interesting that I found on the internet. I didn't find anything interesting this week because
No.
I've been busy with other stuff, so I didn't get a chance to explore the online world and like find something that I found interesting or out of this
Or fun.
world or crazy or funny, whatever the case. But I am going to shout someone out because I am the editor of this book, Star Circuit by Joe Catapano. So I'm going to share his trailer, and he has a book currently live on Indiegogo. It's called Star Circuit 2. So I will be playing his trailer now. And Kyle, before we go, is there anything else you want to say before we go?
I just like, subscribe, follow us. Our Instagram handles are here on the page here. Like we said before, we want this to be a great community where we can all just talk and have fun.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. That we just want to have a good time, basically, and talk comics.
Yeah.
And we want, we're just sort of like a mouthpiece for you. Obviously, you've seen we like to read off your comments. We like having back and forth discussions, talking about stuff. So if you ever feel like you want to say something, go ahead and type it in the chat. We love to hear what you say. We want to talk to you. We love talking.
Yeah, we love talking. And we're not easily offended either, but we like to keep things, respectable as well. So if you think, hey, you guys suck, this topic sucks, then let it be known. We can handle it. We're big boys,
We're tough.
But there's a line, right? There's a line. Just don't cross that line, and you'll know when you get there. But my line is pretty high, so it's very hard to offend. But I do have a line like everyone else does, right? But other than that, yeah, like Kyle says, we're all about building a new community, a community where we just talk comics, we share our opinions, and there's no fear of well, you're stupid for liking it, you're dumb, it's just so you're saying we need to try. Well,
challenge accepted.
I mean, you can if you want, you could try. You try. You'll see, and then maybe you'll see for yourselves how far I can go. But
you also have a book that we reviewed. We can always re-review your book.
Oh, that's right, Ben. Remember that. So yeah, thank you guys again for joining us. What a great conversation. I hope you guys learned a lot about the topic that we discussed, and I hope you guys pick up Rook. It is worth the pick up. It's a great looking book. $4 at 40 pages. I mean, that's kind of almost like the Glory Days a little bit, the accessibility of the price point. So go for it. If we're on the fence about it, handle it, pick it up, and support your local comic shops as well. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment in the replay, do all the whole thing. With that said, here's the trailer for Star Circuit. I hope you guys back it and check it out. If you guys don't want to back it, just check it out or share the link, whatever you want to do. With that said, guys, you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you next Friday with a new topic and a new book to review. Kyle, is there anything last thing you want to say?
I'm not on Twitch. Are you?
We're not on Twitch, Ace. I wish. It's just too much. It's too much for me right now.
But we're here on YouTube and Instagram, so check us out.
Alrighty. With that said, good night. See you guys.
Bye, guys.
No sound? Ah, damn it. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Give me a second. My apologies. I don't want to.
If you don't know, he has very bad technical issues.
I do. I'll admit it. I'm not scared to admit it. All right, here we go. Let's try this again. All right. All right, here we go. Once again, have a great weekend, guys.
20 minutes later.
Yeah.
Life, a perfect system. That was until a street racer named Atlas Metric caused a glitch in this flawless system. It went undetected by the system admins. but now has the attention of a nefarious power who will do whatever it takes to retrieve the cause of the glitch. Atlas. Now relentless android assassins have been dispatched to capture him. In order to escape this threat, he will need to overcome the impossible, with the glitch in tow. But hey, impossible is just something losers say when they've given up, right?